First thing I want to remind you of is this, that you get extra credit in this class for participating. I'm going to do my very best. It won't always happen, because there's going to be sometimes I need to do it. But I'll do my very best not to call upon people, because, once again, when I was your age, I'm telling you, don't believe it, but I promise you, I was deaf. The thing I was scared of the most was being called upon. No, actually worse than that. The thing I was scared upon the most was having to read out of the book. I remember being called upon to read out of the book, and it was awful. First of all, because I was so shy, and then when I started like, if you said, and they called upon me, go ahead and read, I'd be like, put away electronics in your backpack louder. It was awful. And I hated it. So when I became a teacher, I kind of promised myself that I don't want to put students in that position because, is it working? Did you put your 9-digit number in twice? So 9-digit number here and 9-digit number there. It didn't work. All right, you're just going right here to water? Okay, just go real fast. Okay, let's make sure. All right, and so I didn't want to put students in that position. Now, there are going to be times, though, that you are going to have to kind of step out of your comfort zone. But more often than not, I will do my best not to call upon you. Keep that in mind. However, those that do choose to participate, you will get extra credit points. So let's keep that in mind. So the first thing I want to bring your attention to was this, that when you first came into the class, does anybody know how long you had to work on this assignment? About 7 minutes, depending on what time you got here. Here's the important question, Isabella. How'd you know that? Oh, someone else give me another answer. That's right, though. How long do you have to work on the assignment? Does anybody know, besides me telling you? Raise your hand for some extra credit points. Yes, sir. There you go. The timer. One thing you're going to notice is that when you first come into class, you're going to have this timer going. This tells you how long you have to work on an assignment for. I will usually tell you, it will usually be up here somewhere, and it'll be here. The mistake, in my opinion, this is easy class. As long as you do the work, you get credit. It's pretty simple. You got the test, but even if you do bad on the test, but you do all the work, you still pass. But the problem students make a lot is they waste time. If you came in and you did nothing, and you just sat there looking at the paper, or whatever the reason is, and you did not put anything down, you just kind of wasted 5 minutes, 7 minutes of your time in a class. Means you didn't get those points. Everybody, and you heard this, it's a math thing, when you started class, what grade did you have coming into this class today? Does anybody know? Yes, sir? An A. Does anybody know why you have an A, though? You haven't done anything yet, right? Guess what the first assignment is? Somebody raise their hand. What's the first assignment that's going to go on the grade book? It's all you again. That one right there. The Nacirema. That'll be the first assignment that's going to your grade book. So if you did the assignment, guess what? You have a what? An A. If you didn't do the assignment, guess what you have? Raise your hand, sir. Yes? An F. Another story. When I was in high school, once again, I was that shy student. I remember the teacher was there. I think he must have been ready for retirement because he really didn't. You know those teachers that they don't care anymore? You know those teachers? Yeah. So I think this guy was there. He's like, I don't really care anymore. And so the class, he gave us an assignment to do the work, and he told us this, that if you don't finish in class, you got to finish. Someone raise their hand. Got to finish where? If you don't finish in class, go Terry on. Welcome to class, boy. Here. Got to finish at home. And I didn't want homework. So I said, I'm going to do this work. And so I'm doing the work. Now, because the teacher didn't care, the class really didn't care too much. And people are talking. They're sitting around talking. No one's doing the work except for Me, because I was so shy I didn't talk to anybody, right? So I'm doing the work. Doing the work. Now I don't want any homework. I'm looking around. Oh, these guys are going to have homework, And I'm doing it. And I think I finished about 15 minutes of class before class was over. I'm like, oh, yes. Class is still doing nothing. Everybody else is talking, whatever else they are. We didn't have phones back then, by the way. Could you imagine that? Not having a phone? Anyways. So I bring up my work to the teacher, and I go, here you go, sir. I finished my work. And he looked surprised. He was like, he took the work from me. He's like, all right. Good job. All right, thank you. And he goes, hold on. And he goes into his desk drawer, scrabbles around, pulls out another worksheet and gives it to me. And I'm like, what's this? He goes, just go ahead and work on that. I'm like, oh, okay. And I go back to my desk. No joke. I look behind me as I walk away, and this is what he does. And throws my work in the trash. He wasn't even going to grade it. But he told us that he was going to grade it because he wanted to make sure we were working, which really weren't working, right? And I remember I was so upset. I'm like, how could he do this? I'm the only one doing the stupid work, and he doesn't even care. So when I became a teacher, another promise I made was this. If you do the work, you're going to get credit. There's not going to be one thing in this class you're not going to get credit for. Not one thing. If you do the work, you get credit. Everything in this class counts as points. The moment you walk through that door, you are earning points. You're going to earn about 20, on average, about 20 points per day in this class with some sort of activity or other. Keep that in mind, 20 points a day. It's going to play important later on. And so I'm going to grade everything. You're going to get credit for everything. You're never going to have busy work that's not going to count for anything. Everything you do, you get credit. If you put the effort in, it's only fair to you that you get credit. So I want to make sure you know that. So with that said, this is the very first assignment. This one we're only going to make worth 5 points. It's the first we kind of work our way into. It's only 5 points. Someone raise your hand. How many words did you have to come up with? How many words did you have to come up with? Let's go. Let's see. Go ahead, Jesse. 5. It's worth 5 points. So each question, each word is worth how many points do you think? 1 point, right? 1 point. Let's do some math. Here we go. If this is only worth 5 points, and you only answered one question, well, if you answered 0, I'll eat 0%, which is let me put that up there just in case you don't know. So if you answered 0 of them, you have a 0%. Someone raise your hand. What grade is a 0%? Does anybody know the answer to that one? Yes, sir? F. All right, it's an F there. Y'all think right? All right. So you would have an F. All right. How about if you answered 1? You would have a 20%. Who's got that one for me? 20%, does anybody know? Yes, sir? Oh, not quite. Over here to Mr. Ransom. It's an F. 20% is a F. How about if you answered 2 of them? How about you answer 2 of them? Anybody want to? Yes, ma'am. It's an F. 40% is a F. How about if you answered 3 of them? See, guys, see? It is a D. 3 of them is a D. Thank you very much, Alejandro. We got a D right here. How about 4 of them? 4 of them is a B. 80% is a B. And if you answered all 5, you got 100%. What grade is 100% over here to Abigail? An A. So you should already know what grade you have in this class. Just look up here. If you answered all 5, you're going to leave today with having an A. If you answer only 4, B, so forth. There are no surprises in this class. You can always look at areas to see your grade. And I'm usually pretty good at that. I usually put your grades in within about 2-3 days. So if you turn an assignment in, probably within 3 days it's graded. There are no surprises in class. You'll know exactly what you have grades as you're going through. It's all there for you. And even at the end of the day, you'll know what you earned most likely on that assignment. Here's a little hint. If you only wrote down 3 words, what should you probably be doing right now as I'm talking? Someone raise their hand. Nope, someone raise their hand. Write some more down. Or if you hear somebody, don't copy. There's a difference. But you have more chance to write some more down here a little bit later. So if you hear someone say something, feel free to write it down. But you probably want to have that filled up before today's up. questions so far? Let's keep going. Next thing is double extra credit points if you can answer this. So this is a tough one. If you look back there, there's a calendar for the week. It says Wednesday the 7th. If you look to the left, it says what we will learn. Can somebody tell me what is in that box that says what we will learn under Wednesday? Someone want to read it for us. Go ahead, Ransom. What do you got? It's a O-N. On teaching. The reason why that's so hard to read is because I wrote it. Right? I wrote it. Worst write. I have the worst. I'm serious. That's my writing. That is my writing. Once we get going, I'm going to have somebody else write that because I have horrible writing. I mean, can you guys read all this? No, you can't read this stuff. That's why I'm so happy for this because I can just type it out, right? But I have some of the worst writing, so the fact you're able to read it makes me feel good, so thank you. I'm glad you could read that. But we're going to learn about my philosophy on teaching today. My philosophy is my beliefs on teaching. What I think about teaching, that's my beliefs. So just make sure you're paying attention, of course, answer some questions and everything else. But when I first started teaching, someone raised your hand. I think I told you this yesterday. How long have I been teaching? How long have I been teaching? Yes, sir. 20 years is about right. This is my 20th year. When I first started teaching history, my goal was to have my students memorize as many facts as possible. That was it. On test day, I would have about 50 questions and multiple choice, and they had to know all the facts, exact dates, exact names. That was it. That was my test when I first started teaching about 20 years ago. I wanted students to memorize facts. But then somewhere along the way, I realized that was stupid. Why do I want you to memorize facts? Because if you want to know something, if somebody raised their hand, if you want to know something, how would you find out the answer? If you want to know a date of something that happened, how could you easily find out the answer? Someone raise their hand. Google, right? You could Google it. Heck, you can use AI these days, right? How long would it take you, if I asked you, find out the date that the Revolutionary War started, how long would it take you to find that answer probably? Maybe not even a minute, depending how fast you type, right? So why am I trying to teach all these facts then? I mean, that's pointless. Because it's all there for you, right? And so somewhere along the way I realized, that should not be the goal of teaching. And then I hit this little crisis. Well, if that's not my goal as a teacher, then what is my goal as a teacher? And I had to figure that one out. That was kind of a tough one to answer for a while. But what I ultimately came up with is this. My goal for you in this class is to think. That is it, to think. We're going to use United States history. We're going to learn. I want you to know the story of the United States. I want you to know what happened, why it happened, the story. I want you to understand the story of the United States. But we're going to use that story to hopefully get you to think. That's our goal, to get you to think. When I was very little, I remember my mom came home one day and she looked kind of sad. And I go, what's wrong, Mom? She goes, my friend's getting a divorce from her husband. I go, oh, what happened? She goes, he cheated on her. I'm like, oh, right? There's some tea there, right? Whoa, what? He cheated on her. My first thought was this. Oh, I can't believe he cheated on her. And my mind went like this. And I go, well, is he going to go to jail? She's like, what? I go, was he going to go to jail? She goes, no. I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. Because in my mind, someone raised their hand, is cheating good or bad? Back over here to Abigail. Bad. Cheating is bad. And if you do something bad, someone raise their hand, where should you go? Someone raise their hand. Not a trick question. Noah? Jail. So in my mind, it was, he did something bad, therefore he should go to jail. If you cheated on your spouse or your boyfriend, girlfriend, are you going to jail? No, right? But in my mind, that's how it's supposed to be that way. Because I saw the world in black and white. Good, bad. Happy, sad. It's just real simple.
Good morning, Bob. Apologies for the interruption. Teachers, can you please complete your warm body count? Again, you'll find this via email. Please complete your warm body count. Thank you.
Right? It was real simple. Good, bad. And so with the older and you guys know this already, the older you get, do you realize life gets a little more complicated? Right? I was talking to a student, open house. She was a former student of mine. She's now like 19, no, she's 20, and she was in Monte Vista in 8th grade, and we're talking. And she goes, man, I miss 8th grade. It was so much easier back then. You guys are probably saying that now. Man, I miss 5th grade. It was so much easier back then, right? Life gets more complicated the older you get. So it's not, what you realize, life is not black and white. There's this whole shade of gray. Like, I'm trying to figure out what it all means, a whole shade of gray. I want to use this class, I want to use the story of America to explore that gray area. Right? I want to explore that with you guys. And what I want you guys to be able to answer at the end of the year, I want you to know history. I want you to know the story of America. I want you to know that. But more importantly, I want you to be able to answer this question. Do you really believe what you say you believe? Think about that for a second. Now, some of you don't even know what you believe yet. You're still trying to figure that out. You guys are in 8th grade. But once you start forming some beliefs, do you really believe what you say you believe? One of the best things that ever happened to me happened several years ago. I had this men's accountability group. What that was is me and 3 other guys, we got together every Saturday, and for about an hour and a half, we talked. Sounds kind of boring, actually, right? Actually, I hate talking for like an hour and a half. But what we talked about is what was going on in our lives, and we held each other accountable. And so the guy in this group, the one that has probably one of the huge impacts on my life, his name was Alan. And I remember I would come in Saturday. They go, hey, how's it going? I'm like, oh, man, you never believe my wife did. And I would just tell them, oh, I can't believe she did this, and she got mad at me for this, and she said this. Oh, I'm so angry with her. I can't believe she's doing all these things. You know, and he would listen, and the other ones would listen. And then Alan would look at me and say this. Hey, can I ask you a question? I go, yeah. He goes, man, it's not like, your wife's really going crazy on you. I go, yeah. He would say, do you love your wife? I'd be like, well, yeah, of course I love my wife. He goes, really? I go, yeah, really. He goes, doesn't sound like it. I'm like, oh. I'm like, dang, he's right. It didn't sound like it. Here was bashing my wife, the woman I love the most important thing in my life, and all I'm doing is talking negative. He called me out on it. He said, hey, do you really believe in what you say you believe? You say you love your wife, but do you really believe that? Because if you did, you would be acting differently. If you did, you would have done this when she says something. He called me out. I'm like, oh, that's right. Oh, man. Another person that called me out on this, actually it was the same group. I remember, oh, you guys know this. This is so true, right? You go to the movies. And when you go to the movies not the same unless you have snacks. And so I remember one day we're taking the family to go see the movies. And the kids came downstairs. And at first, before they came downstairs, I said, all right, guys, we're here for the movies. I want everybody to get dressed. And I told Lucas, I want you to wear your real baggy pants. He goes, but Dad, I don't want to wear my baggy pants. I go, son, I don't care. I want you to wear your baggy pants. But Dad, I don't want to wear. Son, wear your baggy pants. He goes, okay, Dad, all right. My daughters, I say, hey, guys, make sure you bring your purse. They're like, well, I don't want to take my purse to the movie. I told them, just go on, just bring your purse. But Dad, we don't want that. Bring your purse. All right, Dad. So they come down with the purses, and he comes out with the baggy pants, and on the counter, I have all the snacks on the counter. And I say, son, here, put these sodas in your pocket, right? He goes, Dad, I don't want to, son. He puts all the candy, all their things. I didn't pop on popcorn and put in little bags. Have you guys done this? I'm not the only one, right? You guys done this, right? And I did all this, and I stuffed the purses and the pants with all this food. We go into the movie theater, and my kids are stressed, like, oh my gosh, oh, they don't, oh my gosh. And they are like, I can't, oh gosh, Dad, why are you doing this? I go, shut up, just be cool. And we go to the movie theater, make it in, and we get to our seats, lights go down, and of course, you know, hey, lights go down. You guys ever hear that? That was us. Yeah, you've never done that, right? And I remember I went to this group and I was telling this group, man, you should have seen it. I packed all these snacks and everything. I probably saved it was like $60. And they look at me and they go, hey, you consider yourself a person of integrity? Integrity means doing the right thing when no one's watching. I go, of course I have integrity. I'm an honest person. Of course I am. They go, really? I go, yeah. They're saying, do you really believe what you say you believe? And they said this, so let me get this straight. In order to save $60 that you're so proud of, you risked your integrity and you're teaching your kids that it's okay to lie, to steal, and to do things that you don't want them to do. But it was okay because you saved $60. I'm like, well, you don't understand. You know how expensive this stuff is? They go, yeah. But was it worth it? And I thought about it. I go, nah, it wasn't worth it. Because as much money as I saved, $60 sounds good. The reality is I was teaching my kids that it's okay to do things like that. And that's not something I want to teach them. They called me out on it. So do you really believe in what you say you believe? That's what I want you to think about as we go through. All right? So with that said, let's look at the Nacirema. Here we go. Hopefully you got 5 words. Extra credit points. Now, by the way, if you did not write anything down, if you write something down now, you can still get an A. Would anybody like to share one of the words they use to describe the Nacirema? We'll go ahead and start with over here, London. Disturbing. Yes, definitely agree. Disturbing. Oh, what do you got for us? Make sure, Lionel. Interesting. You're kind of nice. Interesting. All right. Disturbing, interesting. Yes, sir. North American. All right. All right. Anything else? Words they use to describe the Nacirema. Yes, sir. Religious. I like it. I like it. Anybody else? Going once. Extra credit points. Go ahead, Mr. Ransom. Upset? Obsessed. Obsessed. All right. Anything else? Back over here. Let's have Abigail. Intense. All right. Anybody else? Yes, sir. Noah. Different. You're kind of nice. Different. All right. I thought they were like gross, but you're like, they're different. They're kind of nice about it. All right. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am. Risky. Okay. Going once. Going twice. Let's put up the Nacirema paper here so we're all looking at the same thing. Looking at the same thing. So let's read this together as a class, just so we make sure we're all on the same page here. All right. Mr. Thompson, do you have any words to describe the Nacirema? Did you get a chance to read it, sir?
Creepy.
Creepy, yes. I agree with you. Creepy on that one. You guys are so nice. I tell you, here we go. Extra credit points. Would anybody like to read this first small paragraph? It's like a sentence. Extra credit points. We would like to read this one here out loud for us. Extra credit points. Going once. Go. Yes, sir. Nacirema. It's kind of hard to say. Yeah. Nacirema. All right. Easy. That was an easy point, right? Easy point. Would somebody mind reading this one here for extra credit points? Going once. Going, yes, ma'am, it's all you. By the way, London, as well as many of you guys, not only do you have an A, you have like an A+++++. So all extra credits really paying off already. Go on, London, read the second one for us, please.
Women will often bake their heads in small ovens to prepare for meetings with a man or even just to go grocery shopping.
Almost keep going. Another.
Other sign of beauty for some women involve
All right, all right. I don't know about, anyways, I think they're kind of gross, but let's keep going. Third paragraph. Any volunteers, please go ahead. Or Mr. Ransom, go ahead, sir. All right. Next one. This is my favorite one right here. This one right here. Any volunteers to read the next paragraph? Next paragraph. I'll give you double extra credit points for this one since it's a little bit longer than the other ones. Any volunteers? Going once. Going twice. Now, I promised I'm going to do my very best not to call upon people, but we need somebody to read. Last chance. Going once. Going twice. Mr. Ransom, since you were the last one to read, sir, would you do me the favor? Now, if you volunteer, you get extra credit points. So you got extra credit points. But if you get called upon, you still got to read, but you don't get extra credit points. Mr. Ransom, I want you to think about who you're going to pick to read next. Think about who you're going to pick to next read. If you think Mr. Ransom is going to pick you, you might want to volunteer. Last chance for extra credit points. Going once, twice. Mr. Ransom, who would you like to read, sir? Who? Where's Liam? Liam! Let's hear it, sir. Go for it. Another interesting part of the Nacirema culture. Go for it. Yeah, do the best you can. Something like that. All right. Beauty and all its custom related to them are clearly important to the Nacirema. This has been a small look at their culture, but there's still much to learn. So that's about the Nacirema. When I read this, I think they're gross. I mean, if you look at this, I mean, they eat, ready, necks and even butts. That's gross. All right? I think they're conceited, meaning always worried about what they think. You know, what do people think about them, what they look, right? You know, because, they're always scraping their faces with a knife and put their head in a small little oven and stuff and sometimes inject their skin with poison. So I think they're gross. I think they're conceited. I don't know, man. Somebody raise your hand. You guys agree with me? They're kind of gross? Conceited. Does somebody have another word that you want to use to describe them that hasn't shared yet? Anybody else want another point here too? Yes, sir. Crazy. I'll go with that. Yes, sir. Sick. Yes. Yes, sir. Strange. Say it again. Americans. Mr. Ransom. Peculiar. Back to Liam. Liam, what'd you say? The Americans. So you think they're Americans? Everybody do me a favor. Nacirema, spell it backwards. American. Liam, this is a story about whom? It's us. This is you guys. You guys are gross, disturbing, weird, conceited. Do you believe it? This is you guys. This is me. Here we go. Check this out. All right. They're not going to live in the continent of North America. North America, if you know your continent, is where the United States is at. They do many weird things. Every day, men use a sharp knife to scrape their faces. What do we call that? Razor. That's what men do. I remember when I was growing up, I always wanted to shave. As soon as you start shaving, you're like, man, I wish I didn't have to shave, right? All right, razor. Women bake their heads in small ovens. Not so much in small ovens, But some of the ladies trying to make the hair look all beautiful, have that little hair dryer thing, you know what I'm talking about, where the hot air comes out, and that curling iron, all that stuff, all right? Why? Because they want to look attractive, right? They inject their liquid into their skin. It's a little different now, not poisonous now, but what's it called when you put liquid into your skin? Nobody knows? What do you call when you put ink into your skin? It's a tattoo, right? Let's keep going. How about if you go to the holy person, in this case is a doctor. The doctor will wear a mask, a hat, and a cape. I remember my wife was having our kids, and I was in the room with her. I had to dress, and they gave me this outfit. It was like an all-white outfit. I had to cover my clothes with this white outfit, and I was totally covered and everything else, just because they're trying to keep the things clean, right? And so doctors do the same thing. You guys seen the shows, right? When they wash their hands, they walk into to do surgery and stuff, right? That's kind of what this is right here. And now, how do they cut up people? They use what? Scalpel, a knife, basically, right? To cut people open, right? And if they're sick, they might take it apart to study it, right? For science and everything else. How about this one? Here we go, here we go. Next one is this. Another interesting part of the Nacirema diet. They often eat at a place called Schnuckelhom. Somebody raise your hand. What is that spelled backwards? Let's have Liam. McDonald's. Now, personally, the only thing I like from McDonald's is their frappe. That's the only thing I like, really. My daughter loves their chicken nuggets, right? And we always ask her, well, what part of the chicken does the chicken nugget come from? I don't know, right? Right? So I like some of that fast. But anyways, McDonald's, right? Go there. So many people go so many times. Now, at this place, sandwiches made from parts of animal toes, necks, and even butts. Not so much a hamburger. But have you ever eaten a hot dog? Anywhere. The store. Do you know how they make hot dogs? If you want to be grossed out when you get home today, go to YouTube, look how they make hot dogs. It's gross. What they do is they use the meat, right? The good meat they cut up, put in the butcher thing, everything else. The leftovers, they basically just grind it down to this paste. It's the leftover parts. And then they have this like a little, like a skin part, you want to call it, even outer part of the hot dog. They inject all that liquid goo meat into that hot dog casing, and they sew it up, and that becomes your hot dog. It's like all the leftover parts that they can't use anywhere. It's gross. I remember my dad, oh man, I would see my dad in the kitchen. And I would go into the kitchen, and my dad had this jar. It was pickled pig's feet. Pickled, how much do you know what that is? Pickled pig's feet. It's basically a pig's hoof, pickled, vinegar around it, right? And I saw this hoof in the refrigerator. I'm like, oh, that is the grossest thing. And my dad would go, oh, that's gross. He goes, this? I go, yeah. He goes, oh, come on, son. You crack it open like that, take it out, and he would just go, suck all the juices from the, oh, that was gross, right? My dad is Hispanic. Hispanic people, you can back me up on this. Tripe? What's that? Does anybody know what tripe is? Cow stomach lining. Yeah, right? Does that sound gross? Cow tongue. All right? And so I remember I went with my brother one time to one of those little vending, those truck carts, you know, Mexican food truck carts. And I went there, and I'm really cheap, and I go, hey, what do you guys have on sale? They go, tacos. I go, oh, all right, which one? Tacos de cabeza. I go, oh, all right, it's on sale. I'm going to get that. So I'm eating it. I'm like, he goes, what do you think about this? I go, oh, it tastes kind of gritty to me. I guess the way he goes, he starts laughing. I go, what are you laughing at? Someone raise your hand. What did I just eat? Tacos of what? Oh, let's go over here to Hayden. No, tacos de cabeza is what, London? Cowhead. Brains, right? Speak Spanish? There you go. I'm like, oh, really? I'm like, ugh. We eat weird things. People eat weird things. They're weird. Let's keep going here. All right. And so Sarah's coming in strange red, yellow, green sauces, mustard, mayonnaise, all that good stuff. Here we go. Giant tubblings. They have vegetables cooked in bubbling fat. Not so much these days, but that's like representing fries. But here we go. A bubbling water mixed with brown syrup. Someone raise your hand. Bubbling water mixed with brown syrup is what? Go ahead. Let's have Lionel. Coke. By the way, what's better, Coke or Pepsi, Lionel? Ooh, just lost some points. Try it again. No, just joking. Pepsi. Anyways, but yeah, that is probably one of the worst things you can consume. Now, I ain't preaching here because I drink so many of those a day. You just have no idea. But that's you ever see the experiment where they put a penny in a cup and they put Coke in a cup with the penny? You never seen that? You have a penny in a cup, put the Coke in there. The Coke will start to dissolve that penny. Takes a little bit of time, starts to corrode it, dissolve it. But yet, we put it in our stomachs. Anyways, let's keep going here. Beauty and all its customs, of course, are important to the Nacirema. So this is a story about us. Somebody raise your hand. My philosophy for this class, my goal for this class is to explore that gray area. It is to question, do you really believe what you say you believe? It is to get you to do what? Yes, sir. Think. My goal with this assignment was to have you think about things a little differently. Do you really think we're gross? That's not the old days. Are you worried about, here you go. Beauty and all its customs are important to you. Are you worried about what people think about you? Oh, you mind if I question your belief? Do you mind if I question your belief? All right. You don't care what people think about you. When you take a picture, do you have social media? You don't take pictures of social media. You don't do that? My daughter does this pose. You don't do that. So, when do you dress a certain way? Why do you dress the way you dress? All right. But think about it. Why do you do what you do? Why do you think the way you think? What do you think? God, I really want you to figure that out. Social media. You're right. There's a big influence on that. But I'm hoping by the time you leave this class, you are going to learn about history. You're going to learn about the story of the United States. You're going to understand, I'm hoping you're going to understand how we get from where we started to kind of close to where we are now. I want you to have that. But through all that, I really want you to think what America did, your perspective on it, does it change things, everything else. That is my goal in this class. So the one last thing I'm going to question you on is this. I used to ask students, what grade do you want for this class? And almost everybody would say they wanted an A. And I looked at them and I said, you're lying. They go, no, I want an A. I go, in order to get an A, you're going to have to do this, you're going to have to study, and do you still want an A? They're like, oh, no, I'm okay. Did you really want the A? No, they just try and give an answer. The question I ask now is this. What is the lowest grade you can have in this class and be happy? And that's an honest answer. Because some of you are going to say A, B, whatever else it might be. Some of you, yes, sir? A D. That's the honest answer, right? Each person's different. My goal is not to judge you. My goal is to find out what you want and help you get there. If you say you want a D, and I come to you, you're not doing the work, and I look at you and go, hey, man, you have a D right now. And you're like, that's okay with me. I'm like, all right, but let me know if you ever want to get higher, right? Some people are okay with Fs. I'm not going to make you do anything, but I'll help you get where you want to go. But through that process, I really just want you to think, do you really believe what you say you believe? All right. Here we go, baby. We're almost out of here. Here's what I need you to do real fast, real fast. Make sure your name is on this paper. I want you to put how many points you earned at the very top. 1 point for each answer. So we got 1 point, put that at the top, 2, 3, 4, count. Each answer you put down, put as 1 point. Put the total at the top and circle it. So your paper should look something like this. Make sure your name's up here, and then whatever you got, put up here and circle it. So As you're leaving, you'll know exactly what grade you have for this class based upon the first assignment. And then what I want you to do is this. You got about 2 minutes before the bell is up. Go ahead, grab your backpack. Also at the same time, put your paper in this bin right over here.